When opening SOLIDWORKS Electrical schematic drawings, the view is zoomed into where you were last working. I want to start the 2025 enhancements with the new interface configuration preference, Zoom to Fit, when opening drawings. If you're neat and tidy like me, you're going to appreciate every document opening to the perfect view. This will be especially valuable to save time when moving between electrical schematic sheets in very large projects. The Proteus V2 project is wired with 100% off-the-shelf cables and connectors. All these are fully defined inside of my electrical project. But how did all these details get in my library? Using the new Excel import tool and template, I can swiftly bring these components into electrical fully defined. Let's generate a new connector template. The properties in each column correspond exactly to what you're used to, and the template clearly indicates what is mandatory or required. There's even data validation for existing values in your library, and these values updates with the subsequent exports of a template, as your library grows and you have that new standard of values. Manufacturer parts can be defined, including the circuit and terminal details. Note the use of different separators for both circuits and terminals within those circuits. With this import tool, you can quickly add your exact content with all the possible details to the library, like this fused power plug AC1. Like I mentioned, Excel import extends to cables as well, and I can define them completely with cable cores. We need a lot of cables for this machine, so good thing cable management and configuration is enhanced for a better user experience. First, the Mark Route parameter is added in the Properties tab. When you add this cable to a project from now on, it will be PWR. Also note that cable characteristics are separated from the conductor defaults, reducing confusion as to which properties pertain to the entire cable versus individual conductors. In this cable, the cable cores were all defined fully using the Excel import tool. Next, a new cable shortcut menu, properties, but also go to drawing from a cable jumps to where the cable is located, normally a line diagram. Go to drawing from a cable core jumps to a scheme where the cable core starts. Go to browser shows the origin component of a cable core in the tree. Next, from the cable manager, you can now delete a cable even if it's used in a schematic or a line diagram. The wires associated with the cable cores are now disassociated, with a handy preview of our power circuit scheme. Let's add a new 2-conductor power cable. Remember the Mark Route we defined a minute ago, PWR? A very useful filter for browsing cables in your library. Let's hook up these cores. If I wanted to get more sophisticated in my naming, I could use new variables that have been added to the cable mark formula, position variables and origin and destination variables, which I prefer. Quickly renumber the cable marks and check it out. If you're using off-the-shelf cables like Proteus, you'll save time in these workflows. Speaking of origin component, notice the AC1 component. How representations of manufacturer parts are displayed in the component tree has been restructured for simplicity and organization. Under each component, there is one new node for each manufacturer part associated to the component, plus an intermediate node for each symbol representing that part. For AC1, we have representation of the line diagram, the schematic, and the flattened harness. That's right, the project drawing from SOLIDWORKS 3D is now fully intelligent. Under the hood, electrical project drawings from the 3D side are now authored with blocks. These blocks link footprint line art with the corresponding component. This means manufacturer part properties, go to linking, and more. Of course, this is naturally extending the electromechanical integration and associativity of representations. This even flows through to the PDF export. Alright, the project drawing looks all nice and pretty, but how about we do some design? One task today is to add a splice to extend my ground loop directly to the chassis. This means I will have to update the 2D design, the 3D route, and the flattened harness drawing. Let's start by finishing the schematic representation, extending the ground circuit to the chassis via a ring terminal. There's my new splice, and it's right on top of my EW path sketch, so all my wiring will be routed through there in one entity. In 2025, Flatten Route now prevents creations of a loop when there's a splice directly on top of the path. SOLIDWORKS now uses existing sketch segments passing through the splice component instead of adding a new sketch segment for the unspliced wires, which avoids creations of a loop at the splice component. The Flatten Route tool also offers improved support for complex and multi-circuit splices. For example, identifying the junction points and loop segments and moving them to the flattened plane. In previous releases, the editing of Flatten Route has been improved. You have to try this on-screen interface for making these fine adjustments to the flattened route. Even with this significant change to the harness, the drawing updates better than ever. There have been continuing efforts to enhance quality and consistency while working with flattened routes. 3D route changes, such as deleting or adding segments, modifying segment length, adding or removing connectors, or changing wires should all properly update the flattened route and drawing without issue. Show and Hide Flattened Route Items has a new option to create an automatic leader line for each connector table, a nice visual link especially in busy drawings. You can use these boxes to insert tables that were removed or not added. Connector balloons now display quantity similar to wire balloons. There's better logic for placement. Connector tables are placed outside the drawing view and do not overlap each other. If you add a new column to a connector table, we now prompt you to apply to other tables, as well as formatting changes to the header also trigger a prompt. Any drawings from SOLIDWORKS like this form board or flattened harness drawing are automatically updated in the electrical project whenever I save the SLD DRW. This is thanks to a new dynamic link between SOLIDWORKS and the project drawings. Previously, if you made any changes to the SOLIDWORKS drawing, you had to click the Create Project Drawing button again to replace the existing project drawing. As you can see, the workflow flexibility in Electrical 2025 between 2D and 3D is better than ever. Since the project drawing is now intelligent blocks, you can easily organize and refine these 3D drawings from within SOLIDWORKS Electrical schematic. Further, there's a new Annotate tab with commands relevant to this task. From this tab, you can make changes to 2D drawings from 3D and flattened routing documents. Save time editing flattened harnesses and control panel drawings since there's no need to go back to the 3D source drawing. It's a really nice 2D, 3D, 2D fluid workflow we have in Electrical Professional 2025. For the last section, I would like to highlight improvements to terminal blocks and terminal drawings. If you're a panel designer or design power and control systems, these improvements may be the top enhancements for you. Here, I have a schematic with multiple connection points. This could be for the same circuit or a multi-level, multi-circuit terminal. The distributed terminal capability lets you associate symbols with specific circuits and pins, facilitating the representation of more complex terminal configurations. This new intuitive interface allows for dynamic circuit and pin selection, ensuring accurate symbol-to-terminal mapping for enhanced design precision. In a terminal strip drawing, Electrical 2025 introduces more complex wire destination details. In this example, we want to show destination component for the wires and cables. And there's improved display for multiple wires heading to the same component. This provides better visibility and addresses user requests for improved information.